absolute Bitcoin bombshell. Donald Trump's Bitcoin holdings are about to be released. And let me tell you, he has some really, really big Bitcoin bags. This just confirms that a Bitcoin reserve could really happen here. Adam Beck also commented on the whole thing and confirmed it. So now we have more and more keystones that are obvious here and speak in favor of a Bitcoin reserve. A new Bitcoin statement surfaced from the new Secretary of Defense nominee. He's talking about Bitcoin, and it's going to surprise you. We have a new state in the US that confirmed a Bitcoin reserve. What he has to say about Bitcoin. Also, we now have a new state in the US that has also confirmed a strategic Bitcoin reserve. That means one thing is leading to another now. The puzzle is slowly coming together. One piece leads to the next. And there's only a short time left until Donald Trump's inauguration. And there could really be a Bitcoin quake coming our way. A highly explosive clip is about to be shared here. And that's from Adam Beck, who is personally mentioned in Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper. Adam Beck is known for keeping it real, not spreading tall tales. He just shared a fact-based clip here. Based statements. He just shared a clip here, not from Donald Trump directly, but from David Bailey, who also hosted the conference in Nashville. And he's also been in contact with the Trump team quite a bit. I think he even gifted him a Bitcoin or something at the Bitcoin conference. And now some exciting things are coming to light that a lot of people have overlooked. And this all happened at the Michael Saylor 100K party. It was actually publicly accessible, what was said here. But most people totally missed it. Adam Beck says this too. That's why he posted it again. Listen closely. What's being said here? And then really pay attention. What insane Bitcoin holdings Donald Trump has here. And then we'll analyze the whole thing. And then I will explain it to you. Why this is a massive driver for Bitcoin prices. And why it brings the opportunity for a strategic Bitcoin reserve to a whole new level.
Trump mentioned to me before all this happened that, he owns a significant amount of Bitcoin. I'm not going to share the number he told me, but he doesn't manage his money directly himself. But that he had a significant position, even back then. And the price of Bitcoin has gone up a lot since 2021. Well, you're right, it's about the relief. It's about the relief. And you know what? Bitcoin is changing the game. What's good for Bitcoin is good for all of us. And what's good for Bitcoin is the basic idea. Did you hear that?
Well, did you hear that? David Bailey even says twice here that Donald Trump has a significant share of his portfolio here in Bitcoin. So he doesn't just say it once, he actually says it here twice. I'm not allowed to say the exact number of Bitcoins here, because he probably heard this in some kind of intimate or private setting, Sure, I get that you wouldn't want to publish that here. He also says that in the meantime, the Bitcoin holdings have obviously gained a lot more value. Because since the Nashville conference, the Bitcoin price, has been pumped up to 20,000, 30,000. The US dollar is being pumped up here. What's also interesting is that Donald Trump doesn't manage his Bitcoin himself. He doesn't manage his holdings or his portfolio himself. That would also suggest that Donald Trump doesn't hold Bitcoin in self-custody, but that he actually holds Bitcoin ETFs. Because asset managers often find it much, much easier. With Bitcoin ETFs, it's easier than holding Bitcoin in self-custody. I always recommend self-custody. I'll put a link to an Ares below, a hardware wallet, because it just gives you way more sovereignty as a user. Because you have censorship resistance, and you're not dependent on an asset manager, not from a bank. And we've seen it so many times, that some bank, some exchange, or some asset manager has messed something up. And you can get around that with a hardware wallet. I'm linking you below to a TREZOR hardware wallet. Here, you can get 10% off the purchase of a Bitcoin hardware wallet with the code BitcoinHotel. So what he's saying here is extremely explosive. So what's coming to light here is extremely explosive. But hey, it gets even better. This is now a key piece leading to the next one. We really see that. Every day, something new comes up here. Donald Trump is meeting with Michael Saylor. Now, the Bitcoin holdings are coming out. I have to honestly say, I was kind of listening to the live stream here at double speed on the side. I actually didn't notice that either. But Adam Beck posted it again and confirmed it. That this is very, very relevant. He also wrote something about it here on X. Let me read this to you. Adam Beck says here, I think people are totally missing this or haven't even noticed it. David Bailey said here in the New Year's segment with Michael Saylor on the 31st December that Trump personally holds a significant amount of Bitcoin. That means Adam Beck also assumes that a lot of people are totally missing the boat on this. Adam Beck also recently said that the price of Bitcoin is way too low. There's an information asymmetry here. That's how he put it back then. That's a week old. Or like the tweet where he basically says that all the bullish things happening here, for example, that here, David Bailey says that Donald Trump has huge, massive Bitcoin holdings. That all these things are currently not priced into the Bitcoin price. Also, the leak that happened 2 days ago that there will actually be an executive order or even several executive orders signed on the first day after the inauguration. So, according to Adam Beck, the pro-Bitcoin executive orders are also not priced in. And here's the explanation again for anyone who still doesn't get it. If Donald Trump holds significant amounts of Bitcoin, and significant amounts aren't just 2, 3 Bitcoin or something like that, significant amounts are probably from Donald Trump. Bitcoin, 3 Bitcoin or something like that. Significant amounts are probably from Donald Trump. Bitcoin values, at least in the double-digit or triple-digit millions, if not even more. So, in the end, all of this could definitely be a lie. From David Bailey. In the end, this whole show, I'd say, could just be an act about Donald Trump and so on. That false trails and stuff are being laid here. Donald Trump, I don't know if he wants to unsettle people or if he's just playing around with the folks around him, and so on. But who cares? There are different independent sources that are increasingly pointing to a strategic Bitcoin reserve coming. To what extent? We don't know. There were actually people who accused this whole thing, that this whole thing would be unethical. Here are basically the details being released by Adam Beck that Donald Trump holds massive Bitcoin holdings. And then in the end, Adam Beck just posted, "Hey guys, this isn't even here. Unethical or something like that. All the information is publicly available. Anyone can look it up, but most people are sleeping on what's happening right now." And that's basically what he meant by information asymmetry. The whole thing. The information is there. Anyone can draw their own conclusions. We do this every day, but the mainstream is totally missing the boat on it. The mainstream is just sleeping. They're busy with all sorts of other things, Netflix and chill, but they're just not paying attention. Here with stacking Satoshi. And now check this out. Adam Beck was challenged and told that he was talking nonsense. And then Adam Beck clearly says, "I believe in the whole thing." He believes in the story, also in the Bitcoin reserve strategy. Plus, Donald Trump Jr. was very, very convincing here. And now check out what else he said here. And he says, listen a bit before, which basically means what he said before the statement in the interview. So in the whole live stream, he explains that in his opinion, Trump and his sons really got it only after they lost their bank due to their real estate business and political reasons. He doubts he will ever forget that firsthand experience. When they lost their bank due to their real estate business and political reasons. He doubts he will ever forget that firsthand experience. When it comes to Bitcoin is going. So it was made very clear that Donald Trump is being pushed into this by censorship and stuff like that to use Bitcoin here. And this is actually said by someone who was already mentioned by Satoshi Nakamoto in the Bitcoin white paper. So check this out. How crazy is that? Here it is. And there are actually rumors that Michael Saylor is stacking Bitcoin like crazy now. I mean, he's buying at least something. Every week, a few thousand Bitcoin. And now there are more and more rumors going around that says here that Michael Saylor has insider information to run the Donald Trump Bitcoin reserve strategy here. Because when the reserve strategy comes, and it comes in a big way, then the Bitcoin price can skyrocket. And now there are suspicions that Michael Saylor is front-running the whole thing here. And he's going to meet with Donald Trump in person in just a few days. And that ultimately supports this theory. That first of all, from Adam Beck, as he says, here, the Bitcoin price is way too low. All the information isn't priced in, because people are sleeping. Secondly, Michael Saylor is front-running the Bitcoin reserve strategy here. And thirdly, Donald Trump is going to pump the Bitcoin price massively, because he has his own interests here to pump Bitcoin up, because he has large, massive Bitcoin holdings. And now take a look at what the future potential Secretary of Defense has to say about Bitcoin. So we now have a new Secretary of Defense, who would be nominated here by Donald Trump, let's say. Listen to what she has to say about Bitcoin, and then put the puzzle pieces together correctly.
And by the way, you're a Bitcoin guy. Bitcoin's at $82,000 this morning. Are you selling?
And also, all it took was letting that market know they weren't going to be overregulated, which Trump embraced. Clip. And as a result, no, I actually sold some at a pretty high price. It's now.
The clip isn't that great anymore. Not exactly new anymore, but we can clearly hear that the potential new Secretary of Defense, while not holding large Bitcoin holdings, says he holds a few Bitcoin and has sold a couple. Maybe he wasn't deep enough into it yet to have a meeting about it. Maybe he just wasn't deep enough into it yet that he hadn't had a meeting about it. With Michael Saylor, he will definitely make that clear to him. He said here, if he had met with him, "Hey man, you don't sell your Bitcoin. He sold a few Bitcoin here." That's okay. It's not like it's a bad thing or anything. But he at least has a few Bitcoin in play. And there's actually. So write in the comments if you know anyone from Donald Trump's team who doesn't have any Bitcoin holdings or where you don't know of any pro-Bitcoin statements from him, or something like that. I wouldn't even know if there are still that many people in Donald Trump's team who don't have any Bitcoin holdings or who don't speak positively about Bitcoin. And that's pretty wild because it means that not only does Donald Trump have the incentive to pump up the Bitcoin price, not only does Donald Trump have the incentive to implement a Bitcoin reserve strategy here, but the whole Donald Trump team around Donald Trump, they all have the same incentive, and that is the Bitcoin price, to pump it up to promote Bitcoin regulation. So here, to have less regulation and just make Bitcoin the ultimate reserve asset. And if you think that's already enough, then listen up closely, because in Florida, there's now the next state here in the U.S. who wants to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So they want to implement it here. It even says here that this is more or less a done deal. So here's the deal. Reports that Florida will establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. I'm not sure if this is already set in stone. It's probably going to be more of a proposal for a strategic Bitcoin reserve. How this whole thing is set in stone. So we have the next politician here. Here, Samuel. Aries is really pushing hard for Bitcoin. And that's basically it. Yeah, exactly that. It's kind of crazy. Game theory is pushing things forward. Even if the strategic Bitcoin reserve doesn't happen on a Donald Trump level, then there are all these states that are pushing this whole thing forward. And now check this out. I actually took a look at Samuel Aries's profile on X. And up top, you can see a tweet that's pinned like it's stuck there. And he's actually writing here. Buy Bitcoin, lift weights here, self-educate. Buy America, build businesses, and so on. That's all irrelevant now. He's basically listing a whole bunch of things you should do. And just check this out, how crazy that is. You've got a politician who has pinned something right at the top of his X timeline. Buy Bitcoin. That means Bitcoin is one of the top points he's listed here, with Bitcoin pretty high up here. Looking at the list, it seems more important to buy Bitcoin than to start a business. But if you look at it according to this list here, the way he's posting this, then it actually seems more important to buy Bitcoin than to start a business. Let's just say support. It's more important to buy Bitcoin than to buy America. It's more important to buy Bitcoin than to vote for America first. And it's also more important to buy Bitcoin here, like a whole bunch of other points he brings up here. So we're living in really, really crazy times. Of course, it could also be that you're just stuck in your own bubble. We're basically laying out the arguments for each other in a way that confirms our own thesis, that sooner or later the Bitcoin reserve strategy is going to come. Someone could also say, here's the criticism, hey, you're all living in your Bitcoin bubble, just piecing together some arguments and trying to fit the puzzle pieces together. That later on, the strategic Bitcoin reserve or whatever comes. Yeah, okay, then comment that I'm being stupid, that the other people are stupid, that they think this in the end. But you can clearly see that there are more independent sources out there that suggests that. But you still have to be careful and shouldn't jump to conclusions. That we're assuming 100% of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. There are just a whole lot of hints that suggest it, but there's still no 100% confirmation. And if you're feeling bullish on Bitcoin right now, I'll drop a link for you down below. 21 Bitcoin, how you can easily, safely, and simply buy Bitcoin. Here, you can get up to 20% off the fees when buying Bitcoin with the code Bitcoin. Now let me know down below what you think about the current massive movements. See you later. Peace out.